She was not born strong. That is the first truth people never understand. Strength did not live in her bones, nor did confidence flow naturally through her veins. She was once soft, trusting, and painfully hopeful, the kind of person who believed that love healed everything, that effort was always returned, and that people meant what they said. She believed in promises, and that belief was the first thing they broke. She grew up learning how to be useful, helpful, agreeable. She learned early that being quiet kept the peace, that saying it's okay was easier than explaining pain, and that forgiving quickly made people stay longer. So she forgave, again and again. Even when apologies were weak, even when change never came, she told herself that love required patience, that loyalty meant endurance, that staying was braver than leaving. No one warned her that sometimes staying is what breaks you. They entered her life gently, with smiles, with compliments, with words that felt warm and safe. They saw her kindness and called it beautiful. They noticed her loyalty and praised it. They promised to protect the very heart they were studying so carefully. She didn't realize she was being measured piece by piece. They learned how much she could take, how far they could push, how often they could disappoint her before she stopped speaking up. And slowly, without raising their voices, they began to take things from her. They took her confidence first. They questioned her feelings, dismissed her concerns, told her she was overthinking or too sensitive. Each time she doubted herself, they felt stronger. She began asking permission for emotions that were once natural. She rehearsed conversations in her head before speaking, afraid of sounding difficult, afraid of being misunderstood, afraid of being left. They called it love. She felt it as confusion. Then they took her voice. Whenever she tried to explain how something hurt, they turned the focus back on themselves. Their pain was always louder, their struggles always heavier. Her feelings were interruptions, inconveniences, so she learned silence. She learned to swallow words and replace them with smiles. She learned to nod even when her chest felt tight. She learned to say "I'm fine" so often that it began to sound believable. But silence has weight, and it settled deeply inside her. They took her peace next. Arguments never truly ended. They only paused. Tension lived in the air, waiting for the next misunderstanding. She walked carefully, choosing words like fragile glass, afraid that one wrong sentence would start another storm. She lived in emotional anticipation, always bracing, always adjusting, always giving more to avoid losing what little stability remained. Rest became impossible. Even on quiet days, her mind stayed loud. She didn't notice when pieces of herself started to disappear. Her laughter softened, her opinions shortened, her dreams felt distant. Things she once loved felt like luxuries she could no longer afford. Joy became conditional. Happiness felt temporary, borrowed, fragile. She was still there physically, but something essential was fading. And the scariest part, everyone thought she was fine. People admired her strength. They called her so patient, so understanding, so mature. They didn't see the cost of that patience. They didn't hear the thoughts she silenced. They didn't feel the exhaustion behind her calm. Strength, when misunderstood, becomes a prison, and she was trapped inside the version of herself everyone applauded. The breaking point did not arrive dramatically. There was no final argument, no explosive goodbye, no clear betrayal she could point to. It came quietly on an ordinary day, when she realized she no longer recognized herself. She looked in the mirror and saw someone who looked tired even while standing still. Someone whose eyes carried stories she no longer shared. Someone who had become smaller to keep others comfortable. And for the first time, she asked the dangerous question, who am I becoming by staying? That question changed everything. It didn't give her answers immediately. It didn't magically restore her confidence or erase her pain. But it planted doubt, not about herself, but about the life she was accepting. She began noticing patterns she once excused, words that never matched actions, apologies without effort, promises without intention. And slowly, painfully, she understood something she had avoided for years. They were not confused, they were comfortable. Leaving did not feel empowering. At first, it felt like failure. It felt like giving up on love, on hope, on everything she believed endurance represented. It felt selfish, it felt wrong, it felt terrifying. She stayed longer than she should have, trying to convince herself that clarity would hurt less if she delayed it. But clarity doesn't soften with time, it sharpens. When she finally walked away, she did not feel free. She felt empty. The silence she once used to protect others now echoed back at her. Without the constant noise of pleasing, fixing, and explaining, she was left alone with the pieces of herself she'd barely recognized. And there were many pieces. Some were cracked, some were missing, some were buried so deeply she wasn't sure they still existed. But they were hers. Healing did not arrive gently. Some days, she missed people who hurt her simply because pain was familiar. Some nights she questioned whether leaving had been a mistake. Loneliness felt heavier than exhaustion ever had. She mourned the version of herself who believed longer than she should have. She grieved the future she imagined with people who never truly saw her. Letting go hurt more than holding on at first. But unlike before, this pain was honest. She began rebuilding slowly. Not the confident woman everyone expected. Not the strong woman people admired. Just herself. She started with boundaries, awkward, uncomfortable boundaries that felt unnatural. After years of self-erasure, saying no made her heart race. Choosing herself felt like betrayal, but each boundary stitched a small piece back into place. Each honest decision restored something she thought she'd lost forever. She relearned how to listen to herself. To trust discomfort instead of dismissing it. To honor exhaustion instead of glorifying endurance. To stop explaining feelings to people who had already decided not to understand. Stop shrinking. Not loudly, not rebelliously, just quietly refusing to disappear anymore. Some people noticed the change. They called her distant, different, cold. She let them. She no longer needed to be understood by those who benefited from her silence. She had learned that growth often looks like cruelty to people who are used to your sacrifice, and that was okay. Piece by piece, she reclaimed herself. Her voice returned softer but firmer. Her laughter returned less frequent but real. Her dreams returned, reshaped but alive. She stopped seeking validation where respect was absent. She stopped proving worth to those who never questioned it when they were taking from her. For the first time, her life felt intentional. She learned that healing does not mean forgetting. It means remembering without reopening wounds. She remembered the lessons, the red flags she once painted green, the moments she abandoned herself for belonging, and she forgave herself fully for surviving the only way she knew how. They may never understand what they broke. They may remember her as someone who changed, someone who left, someone who became too much once she stopped being nothing. But she understands, she knows, how carefully she gathered the fragments, how patiently she rebuilt from pain, how bravely she chose discomfort over destruction. And that knowledge is unbreakable. She did not become stronger because she was hurt. She became stronger because she refused to stay broken. She built herself from the pieces. They broke not into who she was before, but into someone wiser, braver, and finally whole. And this time, no one gets to take her apart again. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is rebuild yourself quietly and never return to the place that broke you.